What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Creative Rise podcast. We got a fun episode for you today. We're going to talk a little bit about Joey's story as a ripe 16-year-old and kind of making some pivotal changes in his business and some high leverage opportunities for services you could provide that can make you more money and you can spend less time on business so you can start doing the things that you want to be doing in your life. So let's jump into it.
Yeah, so this episode is going to be about wanting to travel the world, getting paid to do it a little bit, figuring out how to double my income, as a teenager. I'm going to share a little bit of this story. So I'm going to take you all the way back to when I was 16. I'm sitting in high school and I'm going, man, what am I going to do when I get out of high school? What do I want when I get out of high school? Well, I wrote down 4 things. I'm going to read them to you right here. Number 1, I wanted to be able to travel where I wanted and when I wanted to do it, okay? Super important to me. I thought that was going to be the coolest thing if I could figure out how to do that. Number 2, I wanted the freedom, even better, to work when I wanted to work and not have to work when I didn't want to work. That was like North Star. That was so important to me. Number 3, I wanted to be able to spend a ton of time with some of my really good friends doing bucket list activities. Now, if you add all 3 of those together, the accumulation of basically all 3 of those was what number 4 was. Number 4, last but not least, was I wanted to be able to make decent money so I could actually sustain that lifestyle. We all know that person in graduation who, whoever's reading out what they're doing next with their life said, oh, they're going to go travel. And you're going, man, that's awesome. And then, 3 months later, they come back and they run out of money and they never travel again. And it's because they could not sustain it. So I wanted to not be that person. I wanted to sustain it. So here I am sitting in high school. I currently own at this point a video business. So I started a video business when I was 14. So I'm 2 years into owning a video business. I was probably making about 25 to 30 grand a year at this point, which is pretty sweet. Honestly, as like a 15, 16-year-old, you're making a lot more money than most people around you at that age. And I'm not having to work at McDonald's or Subway or at a little league field or something like a lot of the people around me were. And so I was able to work less than most people around me were, and I was making quite a bit more money. So that was really cool. Really grateful for that time of my life. However, I knew if I was going to be able to check off all 4 of those boxes, getting to travel where I wanted, when I wanted, getting paid, not having to work when I didn't want to, and getting to work when I wanted to, having the money to sustain it all, do epic things with my friends, I was going to have to make more money. So I'm sitting in high school, I'm going, man, okay, what do I got to do? Now, giving you context for my situation, 2 years into the business, like I said, I was probably dead honest, maybe invoicing for like $500 to $1,250 per job. That was probably like the consistent average of what my invoices were going up for. So not that much money. And I think the reason for that was, and I'm going to break this down, and this might be you listening to this today, because I think a lot of people resonate with this when I say this. They are small. I was a small fish in a, small to medium-sized fish trying to play in a really, really big pond. So I was only really getting small to medium-sized opportunities. So my invoices were always reflecting small to medium-sized amounts. I wasn't ever getting paid a lot to do something because, again, I was a small to medium-sized fish. I was working in the outdoor brand space. I was working with athletes. I was getting to do the things I loved. Like the work I was doing, I loved, but I wasn't making a ton of money doing it. Again, only about $30K a year, and I wanted to double that to 60. So as I thought about, okay, what would double it to 60? I thought, well, I know, I'm a smart guy. I'm just going to double down. I'm going to work harder. I'm going to work longer, and I'm just going to work way more with all these clients in the outdoor space and with athletes, and I'm going to double my income. Now, the reality of this was, started to work, but it was a lot of work. And I started to realize that I was trading, a lot of the freedom that I was working for myself for. I worked for myself because I wanted the freedom to do what I wanted with my time. I was starting to trade in a lot of that time, just having to work like these long arching hours. And I didn't enjoy it as much anymore. And so I started to think to myself, there's got to be a better way to scale my income, which would give me more freedom, because finances, like the abundance of finances, often gives you freedom with your time, freedom with your location, what you want to do. There's got to be a better way to scale this puppy up without, doing what I'm currently doing. I'm working on what I love, but I'm not making a ton of money doing it. So I started to look beyond what I typically thought was something I'd want to do, and started to go, if I was to do some work, maybe that wasn't what I loved to do, but could pay way more, is there any opportunity around me? And what I realized was there was so much opportunity around me, because I was so stuck, again, being a small to medium-sized fish as a 16-year-old trying to work in the outdoors brand space, that I was just stuck with small to medium-sized opportunities, small to medium-sized paychecks. And I started looking at some like B2B opportunities, which is business to business opportunities. So businesses that sell products or services to other business. I started to look at some of the just bigger organizations locally, regionally, provincially, state-wise. And I started to get my hands inside of their networks and go, what are they needing? Is there any opportunity for me to provide value there? And what happened was pretty crazy. So I went from selling like $500 jobs, $1,250 jobs to selling like one-day jobs for like $3,500 as a teenager. And I thought that was the craziest thing in the world. So here's what I did. I started working with these bigger companies, and I would specifically be targeting ones that were moving like $500,000 to $1 million a month or more. So let me give you an understanding of what some of these companies are. They were like transport companies, logistical companies, warehousing companies, promotional companies. So like they stitch stuff on, they stitch stuff on hats, put stuff on t-shirts. These companies that are moving massive amounts of money every single month, and they're typically not working with a bunch of creatives, but their need for creatives is very high. Creatives just don't often run there because it's not that interesting of work, right? Going to a mountain to shoot a tent versus going into a warehouse to meet with the CEO and do like a talking head style video of him talking in front of some of his employees. Like, we do great. So like, that's just not fun, right? It's not as fun, but it pays the bills. And that's what I decided I needed to focus on, because I had to come to this fork in the road as a teenager going, when I get out of high school, am I going to be more focused on only wanting to get paid to do things I love? Or am I going to take some dirtier jobs that pay me really, really well, way better than the stuff that's what I love? And that will give me the freedom, the flexibility to go do what I love with my life, and then we'll see how it turns out. And so I chose, I'd rather do the freedom. I'd rather work half the time and make double the money. And that sounds really scammy. Like, there's a lot of people on the internet that are like, oh, like you can work half the time, make double the money, but it is true if you're doing it in the right formula. And so again, the formula for me was, instead of working, basically part-time-ish, because I was still in high school, to full-time hours every single month to make, I don't know, like $1,500 to $2,000 a month. I started working 2 days a month and making the same amount of money, because I was simply focusing on different clientele that had bigger problems, that had bigger paychecks attached to it, right? So I was focusing on higher leverageable jobs, even if I didn't like the job as much, but it changed everything for me, because I was making the same amount of money I was making in a month in 2 days. And gosh, getting those 28, 30 days back a month and then go do what I loved was really cool.
Yeah.
So that was the formula for me. I know there's probably a lot of you in this space where you are making not as much money as you wish you were. You feel like you are only getting small to medium-sized opportunities, because the reality is you're a small to medium-sized fish. Same way I was, right? And you've got to ask yourself, is it worth continuing to be a small to medium-sized fish and slowly growing into a bigger fish in this pond that I really want to be in? Or do I shift, go to another pond that I actually don't really have much interest in, but the opportunity to make a lot more money there is huge. Let that grow me into a big fish, and then I come back to the pond I originally wanted to be in. Hopefully they'll see me as a big fish, and then I'll be able to build my career off that, right? So that's what I had to do. Okay, so quick break in the story. Stay tuned to the end of the podcast, because we're going to give you some examples of different high leverageable jobs or services that you can actually try and think about maybe taking up in your business that are going to help you grow your income. Some of the ones that helped me double my income that year, going from like 30 to 60 grand a year. So here's the deal. Going back to this, I'm 16 years old. I started going, okay, I'm going to start to shift my thinking a little bit. Started to get in with some of these B2B businesses. Started seeing like $3,500 paychecks come in. And I was like, yo, this is insane. $3,500 for 2 days. I cannot believe this. I went all in on finding more of these higher paying, more boring jobs that started to eventually find them really consistently. And now I'm doing like 1 to 2 jobs a month. And as a teenager, some months I was doing like 7 to 10 grand a month, which was insane, because prior to that, I was only doing like $1,500 to like $2,200 a month, right? So this was super, super cool to be able to figure out how to shift this. And all it took was a little shift in my perspective and shift on what I was willing to consider as work I find enjoyable. Because I started to love the boring jobs, because I was really seeing them as freedom makers. I was seeing them as, oh, if I do this job, it's going to give me so much more freedom with my time, because I've got freedom with my finances. It's going to give me freedom with my location, because I've got the finances to go travel for 4 months straight, right? It was starting to fulfill a lot of the things that I dreamed about having, before getting out of high school, which is super cool. So I started working my tail off with these clients. And it grew my income so quick that I ended up exiting high school with like a full-time like salary, basically making like 50, 60 grand a year, which was so cool. And I got to have basically everything that I had written down that I wanted getting out of high school. I got to travel where I wanted, when I wanted, got to work when I wanted to, did not have to work when I didn't want to. I got to do awesome bucket list things. I had to travel like 20 countries before I was 20. It was an epic couple of years. And it was all because of that little shift I did. So here's the best part. And this is what I really want to encourage you with. And hopefully it serves you as some inspiration, whether you're exactly like me wanting to do this in the outdoor brand space or whether you're in a totally different industry, but you feel the problem of being a small fish in a small pond and needing to figure out how to make a shift so that your income can grow, okay? Here's the best part of what I did. Over the span of like 2 years of making this transition from only doing the jobs that I wanted to, because I was like, why would you ever do a job you don't want to do, to starting to do some of the dirtier, more boring jobs, but the paychecks are big. Here's the best part. Because I was now making good money with littler work, I was able to go do what I loved a lot. I was able to go travel a ton. I would go, down to New Zealand or Australia for like 3 months of the first year, the first 3 months of every year and hang out. And, then I would go to this country and that country. And I was traveling for like half the year or 8 months a year. It was epic. I got to do what I loved a lot. And because I was traveling and living it up, the same companies that never gave me a shot because I was too small of a fish in that pond started to see me as a bigger fish. And they started to give me bigger opportunities. So I hope you see how this goes full circle. I did not have the opportunities I wanted. So I started to focus on opportunities I didn't necessarily want, but had really big paychecks attached to them, which then funded my dream. My dream, living that out, ended up turning me into, and what I was becoming known for was a bigger fish in the area I actually wanted to be working in. And then I started to get those work opportunities. Such a cool way to look at it. And this is where I really, really want to hone in on this topic. A lot of people, I see this all the time. This was me for a while until I figured this out. This is so many people that DM us all the time. Someone DM'd us yesterday about this. They go, hey, I really want to be making 50 grand a year or 100 grand a year doing this. I look at their website, I look at their, socials, I look at everything, and I can tell they only do what they want to do. And they're really cutting themselves off to a lot of other opportunity because they're so focused on, I only want to shoot what I want to shoot, right? I only want to edit what I only want to edit. I only want to work with these certain types of companies that really fuel me or that people even say this, and I get this, but it can totally cut you short if freedom is your North Star. I only want to work with companies that I really, really love their sustainability, something behind them, right? And it's like that, the stuff is all phenomenal. And if you've got that rooted in you, amazing. We love that. But you've got to, if your North Star is, hey, I want to be making enough money where I have the freedom to do this, this, and this, you've got to start looking for maybe some other opportunities outside of your typical norms or things that you'd be attracted to do business with, right? So that's the big lesson, guys. If you want to get to where you want to go, sometimes you have to focus on the leverageable opportunities around you rather than the ones you just want to be touching. So I went from focusing on what I loved that did not pay much to focusing on what paid a bunch that I didn't love all too much, but it gave me the money to do what I love. And then that's what I became known for and then paid for because I had the money to do it consistently, like I just said. So I really want to encourage you guys, take piece of that story. Your story might not be the same as mine. It might be identical to mine, but take that story and use it as inspiration for, hey, what can I learn from that? How can I take that same perspective shift as Joey had to start looking for other opportunities that were more leverageable and that was able to fuel what he wanted to do with his life. What I wanted to do with my life was then what I became known for, and then that's what I started getting paid to do. And that built my whole career as an outdoor brand photographer. And then turned into a consultant. And then, now here we are doing everything we're doing right now. So kind of crazy. So we got some ideas for you if you're going, okay, but what are some of these things, Joey, that I should be looking for maybe outside of my typical thing that I want to do?
Yeah, so we've got some high leverage jobs or services that you can start implementing if you're like, hey, I actually want to go that direction, which I guess you guys, probably 9 times out of 10, the people you look up to in the creative space that you want to go into took on some stuff that wasn't the ideal.
100%.
That's like everybody. So don't think, everyone always just posts the stuff that they want to keep doing. They never post the random off job that they did that made them great money, that got them through. So you guys, it's a normal part of building a creative business. So get excited about that. So we've got 5 high leverage jobs that you can start implementing today or tomorrow that you can start doing. So Joey, give us the first one.
Yeah, I wanted to find these. These are higher leverage if you're selling what I was selling, like $500 to like $1,200 jobs. You got to do a lot of those in a year to make 50 grand or make six figures. So these are things that can potentially bump you up a little bit. Okay, so number one is what I actually started targeting B2B companies for, and they are headlining videos. So a headlining video is a 60 to 90 second company story video that's going to be building trust with their customers or their future customers, okay? So you can typically charge between like $3,000 all the way up to like $10,000, $15,000. I got into that range eventually. And they typically only take you about 2 to 5 days of work. So you can bang one of these out every single week. If you have a team, you can maybe bang 2 of these out every single week. Like, you're making really, really good money. So this is what I focused on because it allowed me to work like 2 weeks a month, like half the month. And I was making like double the amount of money that I was making when I was focused on other stuff. So this is a really, really good one. Yeah. Highly encourage you to check it out and go for them if you're in the film space.
Yeah. And then the second one is, and it's not sexy, I'm just going to preface you on that one. Internal training videos. Okay, so if you've ever worked at like more of a corporate space or something like that, I'm sure HR or somebody, or if you worked in a manufacturing, they've sat you down for a video to make you watch a video on how to do something in the company or what not to do. Those videos are so leverageable for companies because they can rinse and repeat it through all their employees. And if they don't have it, people make mistakes, they get lawsuits, millions of dollars are lost. So these things are high value for clients. So internal training videos, maybe like a week of work, maybe, depending on the company, you can make anywhere from like $500 to like $1,000 plus for these types of videos.
And you can do multiple of these videos in one sitting. Like, you could go to a business for a day and you could literally film like 3 to 10 of these videos in a day. So you could have, $750 a video and you could film 8 of them in a day, edit them the next week, and you're like 2 weeks of work and you made a couple grand, right?
Yeah.
Super cool. You focus on getting one of those clients every single month and you're set up. Really cool, right? Video funnel videos. So very simple. 2 to 4 videos per funnel typically. So you go to a business that's trying to sell a service or product and you go to them and say, hey, I know you probably would love to automate your sales process a little bit more, or just help nurture people that are in your sales process, your prospects a little bit more. I would love to make you a couple different videos that each video is going to specifically target an objection that your sales guys often hear, that you as the business owner often hear. And these automated videos are going to walk prospects through the process and they're going to handle the objections for you. So hopefully it's going to warm someone up more towards a sale. It's just going to be able to allow your sales team to, have some more support and blah, 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 or replace the sales team potentially. These are phenomenal products to sell to different businesses. Again, especially B2B businesses, totally B2C businesses. And you could do like 2 to 4 videos, 5 videos. Sometimes you'll want to build out like a 10 video sales funnel. That's a huge one. But you can sell each of these videos typically for like $800, $1,000. So let's say that you find one of these clients every single month and they want to do a 4 video funnel with you, and you're charging $1,000 per video. That's $4,000 a month from one client. Probably takes you a week and a half to do. You sit down, script out the video, you meet up, shoot them, edit them over the next couple of days, and you got them all done, right? Boom. Send them to them, they upload them. That's a really good way to make money that a lot of people don't focus on.
Yeah. And then number 4, and this one is one of my personal favorites. I feel like it's actually kind of an easy sell, is testimonial videos. 100%. These are little sales machines. If you can get a CEO or the marketing person to select a few great testimonial people, you come in with a camera, you shoot it. Literally, it could be like you have some B-roll in there. It's so simple, but those things are really, really helpful for businesses and create so much trust and creates a ton of sales. And again, it can live on their site for forever. So much value. Testimonial videos are awesome. Those can be able to be like, I don't know, $500 to maybe even $1,000 a video. You can package them instead of 3, group them all together. Yeah. Boom, you've got an awesome project.
Awesome project. $4,500 for a day of work or something if you do 3 videos. 3 videos in one setting, which is very, very doable. And then last but not least, number 5, this is a more photo-specific one. Again, a lot of these are video heavy because we're pulling from my experience from things that I've done. So
but
again,
we threw in a photo one.
This is inspiration for yourself and apply this mindset to your business. But number 5 is like monthly branding photos for professionals. Okay. So I want you to target high net worth, high transaction, high ticket professionals. So dentists, lawyers, like injury attorneys, you know what I'm talking about? Like
People who are actually doing well in network
plastic
marketing.
surgeons, network marketers, like high ticket real estate, investor, whatever it's going to be. I want you to target them, and I want you to connect with them. Go, hey, you need to be building a presence online. We're going to meet up once every single month, 2 hours. You'll have all of your content for the full month. You could easily charge, like for 15 to 25 photos, you could easily charge, if it's the right clientele, you could easily charge like $750 to like $1,200, sometimes even like $1,500. And you batch those in a day. Meet up with like 3 clients in one day. That's another $4,500 if it's $1,500 per client. And that's 1 day of work a month for $4,500. That's a great one, right? So, so many ideas, guys. There's so many like dirtier jobs. It's maybe not like flying data lead, shoot with the bride you really want to shoot with, or going to Iceland to shoot with like the car company or the tent company or the watch company. Like these are all things I used to tell myself I had to wait for. I stopped looking for opportunity around me because I was so focused on, I only want to do the things I love. And it cost me money. And then eventually, once I figured out, no, some of the dirtier jobs make me a bigger fish. And then the companies that I really want to work with start seeing me as a bigger fish and they'll start hiring me. Once I learned that, everything changed. So I hope this was helpful.
Yeah, I hope you feel so inspired. Sometimes it's just helpful to hear somebody else's story on how they've done it, people that pull back the curtains. And we designed the Creative Rise Mastermind to be something that pulls the curtain wide open. And what the Creative Rise Mastermind is, if you don't know, it's our 6-week signature program that helps creatives build 6-figure businesses. We do this through community. We take like an intimate group of creatives, go through this 6-week process with them. We have video modules that basically teach all the business side of creative businesses, what you need to do to thrive, not just survive. And we do it in 6 weeks. It's so cool. We've had 250 people go through this. This is our 10th round. We're so pumped, and it's coming up so soon. So the mastermind starts September 10th, but if you get on the wait list, you can get early access to apply on August 23rd. So you got to join the wait list. If you want early access, it sells out every single time, and we know this time's going to be no different.
Yeah, we've got 80 people on the wait list right now? Is it something like that?
It's crazy.
We only take about 35 spots, and so the wait list is going to sell it out, as it always does. So get on the wait list. That means you get first shot at applying. It's application only. If you get first application, we'll then obviously get to go through your application first, and we start handing out spots. So if you are going, hey, I want 2023, the fall of 2023 and then 2024 to be the best year I've ever had. This is the year I'm serious about making this business work. I would love to learn how to build a 6-figure business, make my first 50K and eventually roll into my first 100K. Maybe you're at 50, you're wanting to make your first 100. Maybe you're just under 100. You need to learn how to go past.
Bump it up.
The mastermind is for you. It has been tried, tested. There's a reason why we've run it 10 times. It's so good. It's so fun. We love it. We love getting to know everybody that comes through it and helping them build the businesses that really help them do what they love for a living, because that's why Creative Rise exists. So, guys, if you love today's podcast, make sure you share it. I would love if you would share my story, so hopefully it can help some of your friends if they're in similar spots. If you have any feedback on like, hey, what you loved, we'd love to know. DM us on Instagram. We'd love to know what was cool for you and helpful for you. Again, throw it up in your story. Make sure you tag us if you do that. Both Christy J. Spears, Joey Spears, and Creative Rise. That way we can, all three of us can repost the fact that you tagged it just to say thank you. Other than that, guys, we'll see you on next week's episode. But so glad you guys are here. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.